Bill grew up in the poorest county of West Virginia. He talked about the heating wasn't good where they lived, and he had to take a coal bucket up on the slag heaps and, pick up whatever little pieces of coal he could, to take back home. He was reared primarily by his grandmother. She was the root of all things good for him. Planted all the seeds of accomplishment and doing well and doing right.
Bill was a worker bee. He didn't deal or spend a lot of time sharing theory. He shared his work, and he was there to put a nail in every board, to be a part of what it required in the grunt work, the day-to-day digging of the ditches. Bill was a ditch digger, or whatever it required to make it work.
I met him in 1972. He was already working in University College, and that's when I started there. Everything that I did also was about student success, and everything he did was about student success. He also impressed with his glorious afro, his motorcycle always parked across from Chubb Hall, and his great desserts.
I didn't first meet Bill, I first heard of Bill. I would see him coming from the parking lot. He had a beautiful motorcycle. When I got to the university in 1979, I began teaching large lecture classes. And I noticed fairly early on that students would come up to me who were African American, disproportionately so after class, early on in the quarter, and say, I'm supposed to meet you. Dr. Allen encouraged me to meet all of my professors. And there would be maybe 15, 20 students in a 200-person class. Every one of them would come up and meet me. And every one of them would, of course, talk about Dr. Allen.
Every university certainly doesn't have a Bill Allen, but if they had someone like Bill Allen, they benefited from it.
He was just a creative person, particularly when it came to problem solving. So he knew we had a problem with student success, and particularly with African American and minority student success. And so what he does, he goes out and does a lot of research. For 2 years, he was an education fellow in the White House. So he was exposed to the national research and was a player there at the national level. One of his great insights and one of his great contributions to the university was this LINKS program.
LINKS program evolved because we saw that even when the increase in minority students occurred, that the freshmen still were struggling, especially early on. And it was a matter of transition was the problem. And we concluded that if we can get the students here early, they can focus on getting adjusted to these everyday things so that when classes start, they're adjusted and they can deal with the classes.
He was about students. And by that I mean he wasn't interested in coddling them, he wasn't interested in making it easy for them, he was interested in setting expectations for them, challenging them, and in deeply supporting them when it really mattered.
The STARS program actually started as a result of our university college. It was one of the most fun things that we did, to see them really start pondering some of the questions about race, both white and black. Bill and I, we'd always start the classes the same way, and we would talk about, your students are going to get confused. You're going to call Bill Allen Bill Smith, you're going to call Bill Smith Bill Allen. And that happened every time. I can recall I was on the steps of Baker Center. One of our students, a white student, came out and said, "Oh, Dr. Allen, I know I don't get you mixed up with Dr. Smith." And Bill was over, and we just had the greatest laugh. But it was very interesting that they were listening to what we were saying. They wanted to please us. They wanted to gain greater insight, and this was a part of it. But it was a labor of love.
What the Allen Student Advising Center does, it does fill that gap. Those kinds of issues, your computer doesn't work, I'm a little short of money to get to the end of the month, my phone won't work, You'd be surprised how many of those small matters end up becoming discouraging to students. That there's a go-to place on campus where there's a whole staff there ready to help you with that and make you not feel funny about it, but feel good about coming in and getting that help, is oftentimes the difference between a student deciding, you know what, I'm going to pack it up and go back to Cincinnati. No, I'm going to stick here. And when you go to alumni events, what you begin to see immediately is, when you talk to African American students who were in school here in the late 60s to the present, and if you got beyond the first 2 exchanges, they right away wanted to know how Dr. Allen was. And they would tell you a very personal story about Dr. Allen, one by one, about what he meant to them, how he sat them down and talked them through something.
Bill Allen loved to fish, and which was kind of a strange thing, I always thought, because he never caught any.